Audio test. Keyboard sounds. Oh my gosh. Fucking Comcast. I Okay. How is the compression looking now? I get because I just compressed it to shit. For some reason, the tape delay is like 1 minute. I mean, all I can do is keep lowering the bit rate until I have like a stable. But like the bit rate is already like 2,000. I just well, I mean, there's really nothing else I can do. So I just have to hope the situation improves or something happens. But there's literally, I mean, I can try closing the stream tab and maybe that'll give me more bandwidth. I, but at that point, I have to hope that there's nothing happens with the stream. I just maybe I won't notice, but okay, well, um, can we make this? we change the size of this? All right. Well, nothing else to do, I guess. Okay, so, already way behind on time. I really want to get some actual work done. Okay, so let's build the game. Oh, need to set up the environment. So, okay. So here's the game. Oh, I need to turn off the audio. Okay. Okay, so here's the game. It is a tactical turn-based RPG, and right now I am working on the logic for having two player characters at the same time. Excuse me, at the same time. Right now, there were a lot of hacks in the gameplay code that were all built around specifically one player character, and then there's also a lot of gameplay niceties that I want to add, based around, just the standard like tactical turn-based stuff. Like for example, if I take this player character and I move him over here, you'll notice that none of the enemies actually see me. So this is one of the bugs that I have to fix, and there's like overworld movement that I want to improve and all these sorts of things. Okay. So, one of the first things I do want to do is close a lot out these other files here. So, the first thing that I want to do is, if you've ever played Chrono Trigger, on the overworld, when you're not in a battle, you just control your party's movement as like a single unit, and then like all of your team members like follow behind Chrono as he's walking around the the map. And that's sort of what I want to do here, because I don't want to make the player like independently control every single unit. That's just tedious when you're not in combat. So how do we do that? Well, over in the player input control, we want to think about when we're not in combat. So we have this player combat state and player targeting state. Just refamiliarizing myself with this code. So where is this used? So we're in this branch. First of all, refactor this. We now have a special function for this. So is position valid? No, tile position valid. Yes. Tile position valid. Mouse tile pause. Game state.gamemap. Okay, so there we're just checking that the mouse is actually within the map. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to say, if we're not in combat, the second player character should just follow the first one around, right? I'm attempting to do. See if way better. Okay, so this is if mouse down. Why are we checking for the mouse being down? See, this is always the problem with coming back to old code. It takes a while to just like get back in the zone. Let's see, entity pause, graphics data. Why are we doing, so what this code is doing is it's going over all the entities and it's seeing if the mouse is currently hovering over an entity. I don't understand why I'm doing that when the mouse isn't down currently. So where are we checking? Yeah, so down here is where we're doing that. That just seems weird to me. Well, here, I'm going to write the simplest version of this possible. I'm going to say if player combat state equals player combat state dot not in combat, and player ID is so this is, we're checking if it's the second player character, so we're not in combat, and we just want to say, oops, fat fingered that. So if we are far away from the main player character, yeah, so this can't be, we need the main player character's position. So get component, we need the position component. So player, come on now, autocomplete, help me out here. Okay, so we're getting the position data of the main player character, and we're going to say we also need our position. So we want to say if distance between these. Oh, we need to convert these. Yeah, we need to convert these to tile positions because right now they're in world position data. So we need to say, well, first of all, we need to say if position data isn't null and mage position data isn't null, we're going to just add a debug assert here for that. Yes, okay. So if distance auto, you know what, immutable mage tile position equals world to tile position. This world position, then do the same thing for this. Right? Okay, then we just say the distance between the tile position. So our position and the main player character's position is greater than 1.5. means they're more than tile away, because the square root of 2 is 1.4. It's 1. Yeah, that'll cover all positions. We want to we want to tell the game to send the second player character closer to the main player character. So how are we going to do that? Well, so how do we do that in our AI code? So in our AI code, we have this go to enemy. Seems like something that we could... There's a lot of common setup code. I might have to refactor this into a function later. So just right now I'm going to just copy and paste this. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to copy and paste this into here. Why does it do that? And we're going to put this into got a little comment here saying this should never happen. Just have this here so we don't crash. Okay. All right. So this is saying we're creating this path to the player character using our A-star implementation. So the start is going to be our tile position, and the end is going to be the player character's tile position. We want to give up after 512 attempts. That all looks good. That makes sense. Yep. Put back, turn out. Yeah, we definitely want to factor this into a common function. But later. Okay. Okay, so if we can't find a path, we're just giving up and printing a debug log. Forgot about my music. Desktop audio is turned off. Okay, good. Okay, so now we have this thing. Just to double check my logic here. If it's the second player character and we're not in combat, we want that second player character to just follow the first player character. We're doing that by doing a pathfinding search, and then we're putting that command onto the queue for the game to execute. Okay, what happens when we do this? Let's run the game. Entity has no value, 145. And then speed data 151. We don't care about that actually. Because this is just a gameplay thing. And we're not in combat, we don't really care about. Max tile per move. No formatted, right? No console. So up here, we need to import. Import format, and then we need to static import UI dot console. Okay. So what happens now? Interesting. Hey, look at that. That almost didn't suck. For some reason, he still gets a turn, though. That was weird. What's going on here? So right now I'm checking. Yeah, okay. That's one thing that I forgot about. I'm also going to want to refactor this function to be single return later, because this multiple return stuff is just fraught with peril. Because you forget. Okay, so let's do this. Okay. Let's try that. Oh, we are in an infinite loop. No, we are not. We're just, input isn't working. Interesting. Oh, I know what happened. Okay, so what happened there is when we spawn, our position is, our distance is less than 1.5. So literally, we just can't do anything. So we're just going to have to say else. This is not what I want to do final, because this is kind of hacky, but that should solve our current problem. Okay. So, boom, follow. What is happening there? So I go over here, and you follow me, and then you do. Okay, let's see what's happening. Player input. Come down here. Oh shit. I want to come down here. Okay. Run. Okay. So I move over here, and so we're going to location. That all makes sense. And then the second player character is going to follow us, right? Yep, okay, so got the path back, and we're doing all that. That makes sense. And so why are we here again? That I don't understand. Oh, interesting. Okay. So we are processing player inputs on every frame, regardless of what's happening. And what's happening is we already have this logic to have the second player character follow the first one, but it's being called on every frame, and we're not checking if it's already doing that. So how are we fixing that down here? Okay, we're saying this is checking if the turn the queue is empty, the turn queue, right? Oh, excuse me, I have a cold. Um. Uh. So where? Yeah. So that is within this. Okay, so we should just be able to add that logic. Excuse me. Here. So if we say and game state, right? We compile. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I move over here, you move over there, I move over here, and you follow me, and I move over here, and you move over there. Alright, we're already making progress. Okay, I need to get another drink, because this is just not getting better. Okay, sorry about that. Settings. The internet connection seems to be a little bit more stable, so let's try bumping the bitrate back up. See what that does for us. Okay. Okay, so got my water, got my coffee. Unfortunately, due to a mistaken Amazon purchase, I am now stuck with like 10 packets, 10 containers of like this terrible instant coffee. And I'm not going to throw it out because that would just be wasteful. So this is instant coffee is now my coffee experience for like the next week. Sucks. C'est la vie. Okay, where was I? Okay, so now we got this thing where, what happened there? Why didn't that work? It's only working like every half. That worked. Interesting. You know, one of the things I really just, I can't believe that debuggers are still like this is that like it's still not possible to like step into the conditional of the if statement and see like if so like this here. I can't see what the return value of this is unless I like step into the function and like hopefully the return value is like saved into a temporary and it's not like the return value itself, like in the on the line return whatever, because then you can't see it, and so it's like it's impossible to actually see in your debugger what this thing is actually returning unless you do this. You do immutable, like float distance. And do that, and so now I can see in the debugger because there's now a temporary. That really sucks. I hate the fact that I have to like change the way that I code just so that these freaking ancient tools that were like first designed in like 1980 still work. Literally, like debuggers have not really advanced much since like the 1980s. That is not an exaggeration. Okay, so I was actually curious what was like the first commercially available to normal people modern debugger, and it was a debugger that could come on a cartridge for the Atari 2600, and it had like step in, step out, breakpoint, stack, frame analysis, like all the normal stuff that was commercially available for the Atari 2600. Anyways. Locals. 1. What has happened? Distance 2.3. Nothing happened. Length is 4. So we do so we have 2. the starting position is our own length. Excuse me, our own position. So that would bring us down to 1. Is this logic incorrect? No, because it's working correctly when the player is farther away. So why would the logic be different if we're closer? Okay, so I need to add in a debug print here. We want to say path.retro, oops, copy. And we want to say path. I'm going to print this out so we can see what's going on. Compile. Ah, come on. Okay, so run the game. Here. Output. Nothing was printed. What happened? Did I not recompile? That would do it. Okay, what's happening? So 1147, 1146. So this is 11. Okay, that's very odd because the first position in the path is supposed to be your own space. So if I go here, $11.47, $12.46, $13.46. So this is just wrong. So this I can just get rid of this. It's very bizarre. I don't understand how. So if I go over here, yep, that works. Okay, so now that's just fully working. Does nothing because I'm still right next to him, still next to him, still next to him. I go over here, follows. Okay. I don't understand then how on earth. Okay, I'm going to add a note to the AI code. I'm going to say to do clean up. I think the removing the first space first, let's say tile pause here is no longer applicable after the A star refactor. Remove this and test. And we'll come back to that later. Okay. So we can remove that comment because that's not true. Okay. So rebuild. Okay. Oh. We're lagging again, so. Okay. Can I actually... Am I outputting at 1080p? No, that's probably... Oh, no, I am. Okay. Yep. Alright, nothing more I can do. I've, like, put the bitrate down to, like, a ridiculously low level. There's nothing else I can do. Anyway. It's gonna keep working. And hopefully it'll work itself out. Okay, so anyway. So I don't actually want it to work this way in terms of gameplay. Because nobody actually wants to wait for that person to follow you. So, this needs to happen in parallel. So I'm going to save what we have as like a working state. So, second player character now follows first when not in combat. So, how are we going to have these two things work in parallel? So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to take all of this logic, right? Create like a scratch pad over here. I'm going to take this out, put this over here, and we're going to say we don't want to do anything here. Again, this all needs to be refactored to be single return, to be better. So what I'm going to do actually is down in the code, down here, where we do this movement thing, I'm going to say if player combat state equals player combat state not in combat, we want to issue this. Right? So instead of waiting until it's the turn, we just do this immediately when the player clicks the mouse button. So this shouldn't work. But let's see what happens anyway. Variable path is shadowing. Okay. that. Variable command is shadowing. Let's just call it that, right? Okay. Variable command 550. This one. Okay. Okay, so again, this should not work. And this isn't working for not the reason that I thought. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do this do nothing thing up here. Okay. Interesting. Why didn't that work? We are using the wrong ID down here. We want to say copy this. Control find player underscore ID. Just audit this to make sure this isn't used anywhere. Okay, see if that fixes that. Okay, so you move over there, and you're doing nothing. That's interesting. So it's going to the old position? Why is it doing that? So it's going to the old position. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay, so where is this? Goal. Here we are. Need to change this down here. Delete that. Get this. So we want to go to where the player is going to be. Position data isn't. We need to change this. Change this just so everything is clear and there's no confusion about the names of variables. Okay. 299. So now, when I do this, you should follow me. Good. If I go over here, then you... Okay. All right, this is pretty close to what I want, but not quite. Not quite. Because I want both of them to move at the same time. Want both of them to move at the same time. So I'm going to do that. Well, the reason that they aren't moving at the same time is because we have this configuration on the action which tells the game only process these at one at a time. So we need to go to our turn actions code. We need to go up to blocking. That's command block. So here, we need to say does block, and we need to go to the go to location data, add another boolean, does block, and we need to default this to true. Ooh, that doesn't actually work because this is allocated on the heap, and I don't think this does default construction. I don't know if that respects the default construction, so we can't rely on that. Well, let's double check that. So init, where's our allocate function? Not here. Yeah, what? Oh. Where is this function? There it is. Okay, so yeah, we're just clearing out. We are not respecting. So let's double check this heap allocation. Okay, so okay, yeah, I was just double checking to see if this heap allocation function I have is respecting the default initialization that's set up in the struct definition, and it is not. It doesn't appear to be, which is actually what we want. Okay, so back to the code. Here, we need to go back down here. Since we want to default this to true, I think I kind of want to refactor this into a convenience function. So we're going to add a new function here, which is init go to location. So we want the So just set all these fields for us. So cancel on scene. And then we're going to have a default value here. Cancel on scene equals true. And then does block is true. So you may wonder, why have this convenient function and not just use a constructor? Several reasons. Number one, we were actually reusing this. We're reusing the allocated turn actions for the turn-based code in a free list. So after we're done with one, we put it on the free list, and then we pop it off the free list if one exists in order to reuse that memory. So the thing is already constructed, right? It's not like we're constructing a brand new object where we're using the memory for one. So constructors just wouldn't work. So anyway, need to go back. Where is pushback? Here. So current tile. Tiles moved. Done. Okay. Okay, so we are going to refactor this so that we say, take the command, and then we're going to say player ID, and just move, and so this is going to be false, and this is going to be false. Then we can so we can remove these, right? And then come down to here. Bum. Bum, 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 bum. Just moving the code from one state to another. So this is going to be false, and this is going to be false. So really, we need to where else are we initting this? Not too many places, which is good. Entity, false and true. So we can actually just get rid of that because that's default. These are defaulted. Do that. Come down here. Looks like the same thing. Boom. 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 Come back up here. Same exact thing. Instead, we have this user variable. Okay. So now we need to make the game respect that. I think actually, no, we already did that. Okay, so yeah. All right. Where is does block? Okay, so yeah, so this so now what this should do is based upon the boolean which is in the data, this should tell the game state when it's executing this turn. It should say whether or not it should allow multiple of these to run at the same time, right? So I have no idea what's going to happen. Let's see. Right. It is a union. So go to location data. Bam. Every once in a while, Microsoft compiler just fails for absolutely no reason. I have no idea why. It just refuses to work sometimes. Hey, would you look at that? I can't... That looks really weird, and that's not... I mean, it sort of works. What the hell is happening there? I mean, you know, it's kind of working. Sorta. We're getting there. I think what's happening... Let's see if I can get it to happen again. There. I think what's happening is... There. So this the second player character is not on the tile. And I think what's happening there is that the second command isn't waiting to be completed. So let's double check our logic here. So okay, so if the command is finished, we're tearing it down. So we're not breaking here. So trying to run this scenario. Okay, so we have this, our linked list here, and we're iterating over it. And we're saying, so let's say the first one finishes. So this is true. We're tearing it down. Did use turn is true. So we're setting the current actor for the game state to invalid. And then should break is going to be equal to false. Then we're removing that from the command list, from the linked list, and putting it on the free list. And then this returns, this is not run. And so we should come back up to here and keep running the loop. But it doesn't seem like we're actually doing that. I need some sort of debug output in the game to show me what the current command queue is. Some sort of like pop-up like this. Yeah, let's do that. I think that's actually worth the extra effort. Now, so let's new file in here. We're going to call this turn Q debug. And I'm just going to copy all the code for this. Oops. Copy all the code for this. Just paste it in here. Don't need these. Right up here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to have a loop. Delete all that. Just need a go back over here. Grab this loop, right? And we so do we have, yeah, okay. So we want to just print out information for each one of the queue. So what information do we want to print out? Well, first, we want to say something like type. And we want to that's just, yeah. So command type. So let's see if that alone works, and we need to add it into the game. So let's come down here and say import static import turn UI dot turn Q debug, and then game state dot show turn Q debug, and then show turn Q debug. Just add a new thing here. Say if we press F2, turn Q debug. We're just toggling that. Okay, and then we're adding that to the screen. Okay, so let's see what that does. It cannot implicitly convert of type bool. That's what we want. I'll come back up here and import turn actions. Press F2 and we see nothing. But if I do up, and we crash. Interesting. What's going on here? And the debugger is running at like 1 frame every 10 seconds. Cool. Okay, so instead of doing that, let's come over to our UI code and turn Q debug. Let us set a breakpoint here and run the game again, F2, and our breakpoint is never hit. What's going on here? What is happening? My Strand asks, what sort of game are we making? This is a turn-based tactical turn-based RPG. Right now, I am working on adding a second player character to the party. Working on the overworld movement and also the AI code so that it properly accounts for multiple player characters. But right this second, I'm trying to get this debug overlay to work, and it's crashing the game, which really sucks. And I don't know what's happening. Okay, so okay, okay, break it down, one thing at a time. Okay, so we're not hitting this. Are we hitting this? So run the game. What is happening? All right. Something is making the game go completely bananas. So let's comment all this out. And we'll just do a freaking binary search to find out what's going on. All right, F2. All right, so that is still working. And someone is texting me. Why are they texting me? Okay, I gotta respond to this. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, so now that out. Just doing a freaking binary search on what the hell is happening. Okay, so that's still working. For some reason, this loop is just killing us. Nope, still crashing. Okay. Okay. Okay, so it literally is, for some reason, having this loop in here is just like, it hates that. Why? And it also crashes the debugger. So, how am I going to debug this? Right len. Let's try this. Let's see. I don't think this will actually work, but it is worth a shot. Actually, you know what? Let's try it in the here. What happens if I do that? Import bug output. Oh my gosh. Right. I'm passing the freaking R value, and I can't do that. Okay. Let's just try this. I love debugging. Debugging is so much fun. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. Okay, so we just have an infinite loop. Why do we have an infinite loop? Duh! Because we're not actually advancing the stupid linked list iteration, of course, because you have to do this. Okay, a better isn't actually in our sound mixer is a better example of this. I really have to factor this into a function because I'm doing this all over the place. Yeah. So I have to come down here and say, I forgot how I wrote this loop, so obviously this was freaking out. Duh. Okay. Okay. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. This was supposed to be the easy part. Okay. Okay. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Okay, so now we're going to do some specific debug output based upon the type. So we're going to switch command.type and we're going to say case. Actually, you know what? We're going to do a namespace thing here. We're going to say current action type. We're going to say go to location. And what we're going to do here is we're going to print out some specific information. So we want to write to the string buffer. We want to say the is we want entity, and then we also want tiles moved. All right, tiles moved, right? Okay. So hopefully this will let us see what's happening. Very good. This in its own scope. No, he's done. Really? Ugh. Switch statement without a default. Okay. Okay, so bring up this. Wow, it's really hard to see that. Oh. What am I gonna do? You know what I might just do? I think I'm gonna have to also print this data to the console so that I can actually review the old data. I mean, this is going to be useful for some classes of bugs, but it's not useful for this bug specifically. So let's, you know what we're going to, every time, I need to finish a sentence. Every time we're going to print this data, we're also going to print it to the debug output. So let's do that. So we're going to print that string, and what we're going to do is we're going to say 0 length minus and what that's doing is it's just printing the portion of the string buffer which we actually wrote to, and so we're just going to, in addition to writing this onto the screen, we're also just going to write it to the console so we can review the output. Okay, so now nothing happened because it's not open. Interesting. This is supposed to add a new line. Oh, the null at the end must be screwing it up. Okay. So let's get rid of that null. We have to null terminate this ship because it's going to a C library. Okay. Hopefully. Okay. So now there's an example of the bug. You just stopped moving for some reason. Okay. We want entity 2. Okay. So done is getting set to true for some reason. So this is the movement command for this entity. And for some reason, it's saying it's done. Why is it saying that? So let's go over to here. Also, just for, this really should be just keeping a consistent naming scheme. Okay. So I'm going to go into the debugger. Which line is this? This is line 550. So we're going to say, I want to know, why are we doing an early stop? So I'm going to place breakpoints on all the times where we're saying that we're finished. And here too, and here. Okay. Run. What is happening? That was weird. Okay, so data. Damn it. I really hate that. Just sometimes the frickin' debugger gives up and it can't show me the data. I want to know which entity this is. Where's game state? Here we are. Well, gonna have to do the shitty thing and go here and create a temporary, which is like data.entity, just so I can actually see what's going on. Okay, here. So this is 1 and this is 2. Destination does block. Okay. So what's happening is, let's turn off these breakpoints. I'm going to this position, right? And he's following me. And really, I'm trying to think about how to solve this within the current framework of how the turn scheduler works. And it is not easy. I'm almost tempted just to make it so that the frickin' it just ignores it until we get into combat. I don't think this method of fixing this is going to work. So here's what I'm thinking. Okay, so the current A-star implementation is all based upon tiles in order to provide a simplified graph for the search, right? Um, so I was initially thinking, like, in order to solve this, I might just have it so that the second player character doesn't use the graph, the tile positions when it's not in combat, and it just like is directly following behind the player. Okay, so what's another way to solve this? So let's open the game again. Okay, so one other thing that we could do is we could just hand. So whenever I'm clicking the mouse, right, the player is creating an A-star path to that location, right? So we have an array of tile positions, right? So can we just hand that exact same array of tile positions, and all we do is just make it one length shorter? Can we do that? Let's try that. So this would be over here. Yep. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, stream doesn't seem to be lagging anymore. I'm gonna make. Okay. All right. Oh gosh, what happened to the camera? There it goes. That's better. Okay. Anyway, so back to programming. Um. Okay, so we have this. Where? So what I'm gonna try to do is we're gonna copy the path from the player's path, right? And we're So that would be this. From the start to the end -1. Let's see what that does. And fighter path. Okay, let's try that. Incompatible types. Oh, forgot to say length. Okay. What does this do? It crashes. Why does it crashes? Which part is the null pointer? Zero. Oh my gosh! Underflows. You are killing me. Hey, I got a great idea. Let's make the length variable a unsigned 64-bit integer. This will have 0 repercussions. The camera is freaking out again. Okay, what is that? Still crashes. So, I don't understand. So, I don't understand. Let's try printing this out. See what happens. Output. So let's save this to a temporary, see what its value is. Okay, what is this? 3. Oh! Duh. I forgot to change this. I am a dumbus. Okay. Alright. What the hell just happened? I mean, it's sort of working. Kind of. I mean, that's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't understand. So in this situation, what happens when I go like this, right? Try to reproduce that. The second player character gets to that position first, and it becomes blocking. I don't think this is going to be a viable solution. I'm just going to have to create a different... So one thing that we could do is, so right now, we are... the thing that we're doing right now is that we're spawning this go to location command for the second player character whenever we click the mouse button. But maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe instead what we should do is have it so that the second player character moves. It's like always checking the distance, and so that it moves when it's more than a tile away. The first player character is more than a tile away. How would I do that? Okay, so how would I do that? You would have it so that... Because what the problem with this whole idea that we're doing right now is it's completely breaking the turn-based structure of the game. So, which is what I want to do for gameplay purposes, so that, you know, you don't have to individually move your player characters all the time. But it's something that the game's not equipped to handle right now. So how do I get around this? So we want the second player character to move when it's more than a couple tiles away, right? So I don't think we can do this in the player code. I think what we have to do is we have to move this out of the player input code and somehow run this check every frame, right? And then we just have it follow the player that way. So I'm going to take all of this. I'm going to take this whole if statement and take it out, right? So now, if I run the game, the second player character should just not move at all. Let's just verify that. Sanity check. Okay, yeah, so the second player character is not doing anything. And so now I need some sort of thing which is like every frame. So over in the game state update, I think I might have to have a system for this. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to go over to our entity manager, and we're going to create a new runnable. So what we're doing here is we're creating a new system in our entity component system, which runs it runs every frame, but maybe it should actually, because there's two ways right now that I've set up where you can run a system. You can either run it at the start of the frame or the end of the frame. Maybe they should run at the start of the frame. I think it should. Okay, but first of all, we're gonna have to say like we're gonna call this like follow player character system or something like that. Or I don't know, like party management system. Let's just keep it simple for now. Follow system. What did I do? What the hell did I just do? Okay, we need a scratch pad to just put that in. And then we're going to grab this, put it here. Okay, so we need a... Okay. So new system. So it needs a void run. And so we're going to take this, and we're going to paste it in here. Just copy the signature from up here. Don't need this. Okay. Okay. Okay, so now we sort of need to go back to what we had originally, which is we need to grab both the positions for both player characters, right? Right? And then add this to the check, right? Boom. We actually want to take this and push this out here. Actually, you know what? No, we just want to get rid of that. Okay, so we can get rid of this. Boom. Boom. Okay. So we have the position of the two player characters. So the position data isn't null, and we're not in combat. And then we want to say we want to get the tile position of these two player characters, right? Mage position data. So tile distance. Do that, and then if it's more than 0.5. So we want to do this again, where we're doing the A star calculation. We're setting the allocator. We want this to mage tile position. Close as possible is true. That all looks good. Okay, so we're back over in the player input code. I just need to double check. Okay, that all looks good. Okay, so this, right? Okay. Fighter path. Okay. How does this look? Okay. So we're making a pathfinding calculation from one place to the other, right? And it's the title position as close as possible. And if change that. That's yes, yes. Okay, that's all good. Okay. Okay. Let's see how that does. Okay. To up here, we need to then oops. Okay. Let's see what that does. All right. It does nothing. Interesting. Okay. Where is that new code? What line is that? That is line 831. So what's happening? Actually, you know what? Thinking about it, I don't even think we want this else branch. We just want to say, yeah, that's good. Run. Go back to the game. Interesting. What's happening? Run. So we're hitting this. Getting the path. We're stuck in an infinite loop for some reason. Okay. So it seems like we're not checking if we've already spawned a. How do we solve this? So there's two ways that you could think about this. There's what we want to do is we only want the problem is we're spawning now a action for the second player character to move on every single frame, which is bad. So there's the thing you want to do is just you want to somehow check if the second player character is now moving. Don't do that. But the problem is how do we check for that? Because our actions in the scheduler are in a linked list. And so iterating over that linked list every single time when you don't need to, you just want to reduce that as much as possible. So I'm tempted to have some sort of player input state variable which is just a flag as to whether or not we're currently moving. I don't know how you would turn it off, though. Where would you... Yeah, you would have to have some sort of custom teardown logic. Which you could do that. You could have a custom thing in the teardown function of the turn action, which says like, "Hey, this was the second player character following somebody." So, hmm, I don't think I want to do that yet. So what we're gonna do, this is very hacky, and it's probably not what I'm gonna do in the long run, is I'm actually gonna have we are just going to iterate over the turn queue, right? We're gonna iterate over the turn queue, and we're gonna say if command dot type is equal to go to location and right. That's very hacky. But let's see if that sort of logic works, right? Interesting. Do I still have all the breakpoints? No, I don't. Here. $10.48. Okay. So 10.48. Right? Which tile is 10.48? $10.48, but that's our current position. And the entity is the... Something's very wrong with this logic. Let's go back and make sure... okay. Okay. Okay, why would that be happening? So we're in a situation where our destination tile is our own tile. Okay. I don't know what's going on with the pathfinding logic in terms of like whether or not our own tile, the starting tile position is included in the return path from the A-star code, but it's like, it seems like it's really hacky. Like, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not, and that's just going to have to be a whole debugging session later. So, for now, let's just, you know what? Actually, no, not that way. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Right? Let's just do that, and that should solve that problem. So we should be skipping our own tile. Let's get rid of that breakpoint. Okay, you move there, and you follow. Right? Ah, why'd you stop? It was so close. Oh. You were so close. That worked that time. And oh gosh. Ah! So worked that time. So destination is 1047. 1248. Stopped. Why did it stop? We have to go back. No, you know what? That's fine. We can just keep that for now. Okay. Just trying to reproduce that bug. Okay, that worked. That didn't work. Why didn't it work? Destination is 1048. And destination does block is true. Okay. But, Oh, so this is the first player character is now quitting. Destination is 1248. Is there... Wait a second. We're not updating. We aren't updating the collision data every frame. So we might be getting ghost collision data screwing with us here. Because this is running every frame, right? And so we have this is tile blocked. I think that's because we build collision data. Um, where is that? Where is that? Yes. Okay, so we're building the collision data after every turn, but I don't think we can get away with that anymore because now we're breaking we're breaking the turn-based nature of the game. So I think we need to build the collision data actually at the start of every frame. This might tank the frame rate. I don't know. Let's turn off that breakpoint for now. Okay, let's see what happens. No, that made the situation worse. Because we're blocking ourselves. Well, it didn't tank the frame rate. That's a good thing. So I think what's happening here is that we are now blocking ourselves. So I go to this tile, and then all of a sudden it's saying, "Hey, you're in that an entity, a blocking entity is in that tile. It just happens to be me." How am I going to do this? Well, we could just in the function to check for the block here, right? Down here. We're going to add a new parameter to this function. It's going to be entity ID. And we're going to say, I don't know, checking entity, invalid entity ID. Add a note about this. Mutable. Self. So we want to say, actually, do we need a separate thing for this? I meant to copy this. Okay, so if we pass an invalid entity ID into the function call, this will always return false. Right? Need to turn down my music. Okay, so okay, gotta focus. Going for 2 hours straight without a break is a little difficult for me, but we'll press on. Okay. Okay, so hashtag entity manager. Step through it one thing at a time. If the entity that we're looking at So if we don't pass anything, it's going to be invalid entity ID, right? So this is going to be false. This will always be false if we don't pass in an entity ID. I think that makes sense. So I'm going to go back to here, right? And we're going to pass in data.entity. And I want to put a breakpoint here. These are the mobs moving around. I don't care about them right now. So, boom. Step in. Oh my gosh. Why didn't it? Oh my gosh. Okay, where is this function define game map? Okay. Did I recompile the game? Thought I did. Maybe I didn't. I didn't. That's why I was screwing up. Okay, let's try this again. Don't care about the mobs. Okay, move. Now, step in. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Whoa. Oh, right. Okay, balls. Where'd that file go? Here. Just put the breakpoint there. I don't care about all the other stuff. Turn that off. All right, run. All right, checking entity. Seems like it's working. Let's. That looks like it's working. I think we've cracked it. I think we've done it. This looks good. I haven't gotten it to fail yet. All right. It seems like it's all working. I'm kind of shocked. So we now have a movement system when we're not in combat, which is much easier for the. It's much more palatable for the player. So what happens when I get in combat? Does this whole system break? So we should be able to independently move these entities now. No, it's still... Okay, so that's the next bug we need to work on. Okay, so let's just save what we have. We've got the second player character following the first in non-combat. Okay. Okay. What time is it? It is 4:41. I needed to go somewhere at 5:30. Okay. Yeah, so I am going to take a 5-minute break. Just stretch my legs. Be right back. Okay. So, the problem comes when we are in combat. So let's think about this. Right? So we're in combat. Right? And he still follows me. Why? So let's take a look at this. This entity system. Go. There should be. Okay, so let's back to here. Turn that off for now. So we'll go back to the game. Why? Okay. So let's go back into combat. And okay, so you see me. So let's turn this back on. 0. Why? Where does this get set? Does this actually ever properly get... Well, it has to, right? Because... Yeah. So let's search for... Where are we setting this? Oh. Huh. Okay, so what's happening here is another old piece of logic when the game only had one player character, and it's essentially saying like, so if the entity, if the current entity, right, is the player, and we loop through all of the active enemies, and we check to see if their state is if they know where their target is and if their target is the player, right? But since we haven't fixed the AI code to target multiple entities, right? Since we have multiple player characters, it doesn't actually know about those multiple player characters yet. So the quick fix, right? Because maybe we just want to. Do I want to tackle the AI code right now? I think I need to make a. Well, I need to make a plan for how I'm going to tackle the AI code anyway. And the camera needs to have its exposure adjusted again. I need to make a plan for the AI anyway. So I guess we just start writing it out, right? I don't need this anymore. So how would I have it so the AI smartly targets a specific entity? Well, it needs to come up with some sort of threat index, right? Which player character should I target? It should think about like which player character at the moment is like the most optimal target. So how would it do that? Well, the most simple answer that could get us going is saying like whichever one's closer, right? Whichever one which of the player characters is closest to me. That could get us going. In the future, we might want to do something where, like, if you're like a non-intelligent entity, like a spider, versus say like a person, um, we could say something like a person wants to target the one which is like the weakest, maybe, or we want to target maybe the one which is capable of the most damage, and then we want to do like focus fire. Um, the other thing to think about is whether we want, at the moment, the entities to be constantly switching up which entity they're targeting. For gameplay purposes, we might want to have them just pick to one target and stick to it. Um, hmm. Yeah. I think that's what we want to do. Okay, so there's several. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of how do I break this down into concrete steps of changes that we need to make, right? So let's go to the AI data. Where's the AI data? Here's the AI data. Okay, so we have this target ID. So I think what we need to do. Okay, so where are we setting this currently? Let's get rid of that. Don't need that anymore. It's probably when we're initializing. Yeah, it's when we're initializing the component, right? So I'm going to set this to invalid entity ID, right? And the first thing that we need to do is change the function which says the AI has seen the player, right? That's the first thing we need to do. Where is that data? So this is the AI FOV system. So when does this run? This runs post-game update. Interesting. Oh yeah, so at the end of every frame. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So this is our FOV. So this is the callback function for the FOV calculation. And where... So this is saying we're going over if we see a dead body at this location, then we should become alerted. That makes sense. This is what we need to get rid of. This, okay, so let's, okay. Current target. I think we need to just get rid of that. Right? So let's go to this struct and just remove that field, because what we're going to do in this, since we're already looping over all of the entities, right, which are at this current position, we're going to say if is player entity tree node dot value dot entity. So if there's a player entity on this position, what we want to do is we want to set the current this is a good starting point. Let's start with this and see where that gets us. Forgot to close the game. Close. And turn that off. Okay. Oh, forgot to recompile. Okay. So now... Interesting. Where's the AI FOV system? never gets to there. Why? What's going on here? Are we calling this? No. Ah, okay. So we have to change this. So we don't care about this. Okay, that looks good. Yep, okay, we're actually calling that now, so we can... Isn't it? Okay, so we are... Okay, that's fine. So we can get rid of that now. Alright. Alright, so we've seen... And... Crash. Interesting. Ah, I forgot to put a return here. Whoopsie. Okay. So, because these have seen me... What happened there? It's still doing the follow logic. Why? Oh, because, yeah, we still haven't fixed the freaking thing. We still haven't fixed the, Okay, so now we have two problems. The first problem is that the entities which haven't seen the player are, they're sort of stuck in limbo because they have on their AI state set that they know where they know where their target is, but they don't have a target yet. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that we're still doing the... You know what, let's get rid of some of these. Clean this up a little bit. We still have this wonky are we in combat logic. Really what we should be doing is we should just be looping over the entities, the AI entities, and we should just be saying, hey, if any of them have a target, which is a player entity, and if they know where that player entity is, then we're in combat. So we just need to change this up a bit. So where are we calling this function? Just here. So this is when we're doing movement outside of combat, right? And we want, if we go into an alert state, we want that movement to be canceled and then transition into the player combat state, right? So that's fine, sort of. We need to we need to think about the two. So we just need to loop over all of the AIs, and then we need to say, right? I think we can just do this. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to do that. We're doing this every frame. We really shouldn't be doing this every frame. To do speed, don't need to do this every frame. Okay. We will get back to that. Okay, so they've seen me. So now I should be able to move these two independently. So looks like that's working. So one problem down. Yeah, see what's happening with this guy is he's just waffling back and forth between attacking either of these two because of his FOV calculations. Now we're out of combat. So that's sort of working pretty well. So that's more progress. So let's save that and say fixed combat movement with both player characters. Okay, so a couple things. From a gameplay standpoint, I sort of want those webs to disappear after a couple turns. So, I kind of want some sort of system. I want some sort of data, right, on the entity, which is going to be like, remove this entity after n turns, right? And so let's do that. We need a new piece of data on the entity. We need a entity component. And it is going to have a bit mask on it, which is going to be 16, right? And this is going to be like delete after n turns. because I like names which are clear and descriptive. Turns left, right? So that's, when are we going to... So we need some sort of new system here, which is going to be like delete. Okay. So we need to write this code. So here, so let's call this blah, blah, blah. So we need a mask, which is going to be the delete after n turns bit mask, and I have a hash set of all of our entities, and we need an add and remove method, and then we need a run method. Don't need the delta time. We're just going to say, we're going to loop over all of these. So we're going to say for each entity, and we're going to say we need the data. So, you know what, let's rename this. I forgot, because usually we just put the component after the end there. Fix that. We need a hash map of this. So delete after n turns component. Delete this. Then back up here, we need there too. So pointer, and then we're just going to say data get component. So we need entity manager, and then we're going to entity, and then we're going to say minus minus data dot turns left if data dot turns left is less than 0. Game state dot, you know what, you just insert directly into the array, right? Yeah, okay. So the reason why we have this like deferred deletion of entities is because like when you delete an entity, it deletes all the components. When you delete all the components, that updates all the systems, and that runs the systems, and then you can get into an infinite loop because like you can like corrupt a container while you're looping over it. You're modifying it while you're looping over it, and that's just bad news. Just bad news bears. You never want to do that. So entities. No, that's on the entity manager. Okay, entity manager. Entities to delete. Dot insert. Boom. Okay. Simple enough. So all we have to do now is we just have to add this component to these webs, I believe, well, we can just add it in the configuration, right? The entity configuration. So go down to where are the webs? Where are the webs? Here we are. So we want to add a new component here. And we just want to say turns left, 3 turns. Okay, so we'll go back over here. Down in our create entity function, we have to add a new case. And then since this is just an integer, we can just do this. Cast int, and then add the component. Okay. So that should be literally everything we need to delete those webs after 3 turns. Let's see. Go back over here. That was weird. Okay, so we get webbed. So that's 1. 2, 3. And then these should disappear again. Okay. Okay, great. Great. That was pretty easy. So git add webs are okay. So one other thing that we can do as a quick fix is we can, for the AI stuff, let's go back to where is our AI FOV callback. Here we are. So right now we're setting this I'm trying to think about the easiest way to get, like, just consistent. Because what's happening now is that, like, so this is running every frame, right? And depending on which tile is hit first in the FOV system, in the FOV calculation of the entity, you can sort of waffle back and forth between the 2 different player characters in terms of which you're targeting. I don't want to do that. I just wanted to stick to 1 for now. But at the same time, I sort of don't want to stick with this. This is running every frame, right? Yeah, it is. Okay. I kind of think this should be happening. Not to do gameplay. Maybe this should be pregame update. Okay, so back to this. what we're going to do is we're going to say something along the lines of entity closest player entity, right? It's going to be equal to invalid entity ID. That can't be stored here because this is being called separately for every single tile. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go to here, and we're going to say closest player entity, right? And distance. This is going to be a float, right? It's going to be actually, yeah. Okay. So we're going to come. Crap, where'd it go? Go back to here. And then we're going to say if is player entity. We want to get rid of this, and we want to say const position component get component position data. So this is we're going to need the entity manager, and then entity, right? And then we're going to say if well, actually, we can do a special case. We can say well, hold on, one thing at a time. Are we getting? Okay, so we need our current entity AI position data. So we need to get the it's this one. That. Okay. So we need the. We're always going to need the distance. So let's get distance. It's going to be. Well, first of all, we need to double check for nulls. If actually, we already have the player position data, so we don't need that. Always check for null pointers because null pointer pressures are bad. We'll just put a debug assert here. That same thing. So distance, AI position data, world to tile position, bam, 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 and then we just need to say tree node dot value dot position, right? And then so we have the distance between us and the player character. So we just need to say if FOV context dot closest player entity equals invalid entity ID. We just need to say context dot closest player entity is equal to this entity. right? And then we are going to set the distance, closest player entity distance, equal to distance. And then we say else if context closest player entity distance is greater than distance, just do the same thing. Yeah, okay, so we don't need to just do this, right? So we're looping through all of the tiles in the FOV. We're saying, okay, we found a player entity. If this player entity is close to us, we need to set. Okay, so yeah, okay, so we're setting that data, and then once we're all done, right? So once we're done with all that shit, then we come down here and we say if AI data dot knows target position, AI data dot target CID equals actually just making sure, and context dot closest player entity does not equal invalid entity ID. We want to say closest player entity. Right? That all makes sense to me. Okay. MRB Dem says hello. Hi. I don't check. A lot of times I'm just like hard focused into the programming, so I don't see chats right away. Sorry about that. Okay. None of the influence. 1948. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I forgot to pass the actual world position. Okay. Okay, so now the AIs should target the closest player character to them. Okay, so they're all moving towards him. So kill that one. So if I move over here, yes. Okay, so they should all attack him. Looks like it's actually working. Why? Interesting. That spider started to target him. The distance, the tile distance must have been like equal. Or he's not doing anything. Why isn't he doing anything? He's just not moving. That is entity 5777. Toggle AI debug. Okay. So we go to the 2 FPS freaking console because I haven't fixed that yet. 5777. Where are you? How is the game going? Strategy or RPG? So it's sort of like a turn-based, a turn-based strategy game that's like sort of, how to describe it? It's sort of like a adventure RPG, but the combat, there's like free movement when you're not in combat. But when you get into combat, it's sort of like a grid-based, turn-based RPG with each player character has a set amount of resources per battle. and those reset at the end of every battle. But you have a very limited amount of resources for each battle. But it's sort of going to be like the idea is it's sort of like, not really a dungeon crawler, I wouldn't say. It's more like, you can imagine a big, like, we're going to get from A to B is the sort of story, and we're going to have adventures along the way. And so right now I'm trying to make the combat fun and interesting. Um, it's going to be a linear story. You have to get from A to B. There's going to be like challenges along the way. I've never played Realm of the Mad God, so I couldn't tell you. Um, Sort of like if you've ever played Chrono Trigger and you're running around in the open world, not the open world, the overworld, and then all of a sudden you'll hit a mob, and then it'll transition to a different. It'll transition to like the combat. It's kind of like Chrono Trigger. Uh, where is that freaking entity? I can't freaking find it. I don't see this entity even generating any plans. 5777. Entities. Is it? There it is. So it's comp. Uh, 414-55777. So it has an AI data. Armor, loot, and stuff. I'm waffling back and forth on that right now. So here's the thing. I don't have the money to make a whole bunch of different art assets. Because I'm not an artist, so I have to pay for all that. And so the hope is that we can make the game interesting without making a whole bunch of different types of loot. And just make the combat sort of engaging without relying on like the dopamine addiction of, hey, I got this new shiny piece of armor. The different classes are going to be like different types. You're going to have like 3 different player characters. Like it's going to be very basic, like so mage, rogue, warrior in that way. And those are going to be your 3 player characters. Can you make projectiles? One of them is going to be a rogue with a bow and arrow, so sort of. And another one's going to be a mage with spells. So, sort of, yeah. Let's see here. So it has a AI component. But it's just not generating any. It's just not doing anything, and I don't know why. It's just stuck. You know what an easier way to debug this is? Instead of going through this, we can just go, where is the, where's the game update function? Here we are. So, okay, breakpoint here. Clear that. Okay. So, okay, where is the current entity? Not really. So it's like the question is there going to be like a necromancer, spellcaster, and a spellblade? No. I want, so since there's only 3 player characters, I want them to be like very orthogonal and play very differently. So the warrior is going to play much different than the spellcaster, which is going to be very different from the rogue. and the challenge is going to be using each of those in each combat scenario effectively. So current actor. Boom, 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 boom. What is going on here? Okay, so this entity is just not in the scheduler. That's what's happening. I don't know why it isn't in the scheduler. Like, so 5777. Oh, I just saw it. Shit. Dang it, I missed it. Okay. There. Okay. Step in. What is happening here? It's just not doing anything at all. Why isn't it doing anything? Okay, so it is not next to the target, does not have casts. It's at the desired distance. Is it? True. True. Okay. So it's finding a path. So what is the path length of 2? Oh, thanks, man. Actually, I have to go as well. Crap, it's already 5:30. Oh, lost track of time. Crap. Yeah, I have a prior engagement at 5:30. But the good news is I actually got everything that I wanted to get done today done. We now have good overworld movement where the second player character is following the first, and it doesn't look like crap. And the AI is no longer sort of ignoring the second player character, which is, those are the two things that I wanted to get done today. So that is it. All right, stream's done.